everybody. Welcome back to the Brickanista Broadcast Network. How is everybody? And my special guest, Llano River Blue. And we're continuing with her show that she's been running with Remy Baker on the Brickanista Broadcast Network. And so good to see you again, Llano.
Excited to be here.
Can you speak up a little bit? Because I think your audio is a little low.
Absolutely. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah,
awesome.
My headset
awesome.
disappeared. I will use my projection voice.
Project your voice. Pretend you're in the middle of an auditorium. So welcome. And today, as you know, we're doing recap of episode number 8, which is Puppet Masters. And I tell you, when I was watching the builders go through this, I was just thinking, wow, those are going to be heavy. It reminded me of the fashion episode where they were going to have to put that on their head. Yeah.
That's a big issue for sure. Just the sheer weight of Lego bricks. One of the teams alluded to that too, of like, you in the audience, like, you might not be thinking about this, but these are heavy.
Well, especially they also had the, I guess the show place, the puppet theater. Because it was raised above. So on top of just holding it like a regular puppet, you had to also raise it over your head. Right. So you had all of that weight on your shoulders too.
Totally.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been fun just seeing how everything is coming together. These last 6 teams, they're really pushing the envelope on what they can do too.
They are.
It's been fun to watch.
Yeah. This was a fun episode. I was excited. I don't know. It was just a creative concept, and
yes,
people
definitely
rose to the occasion.
So the Brick Cove is here. Welcome, Aubrey. And
Aubrey.
She says, my arms were tired watching them hold the puppets up. Exactly. I know. I felt the same way. It was just kind of like, well, it's all part of the challenge, and that's why it was interesting, the strategy too. And when we start talking about the individual puppets, that some of them said we're making this small deliberately because they know that they're going to have to hold it for a while. So it was just awesome just seeing that. Now you have a puppet background too, don't you, Llano?
I do, kind of. Yeah, I grew up at a summer camp where my dad worked, and there was a puppet troupe that would come through every summer and taught us how to make puppets.
Oh, how cool.
Good to see you, Mairead. So
I'm Mairead.
Yeah, like making mouth puppets every summer, and occasionally marionettes on strings.
Right. And Mairead says, I was shocked that no one built the puppet into themselves for support, kind of wearing it. That would have been cool, actually. That would have been a lot of bricks, though.
Yeah,
so maybe that's why.
Thing, though, like shoulder supports. We've learned that there's a lot of like rules that we don't hear as the audience.
Right.
So it's totally possible there could have been a rule about that.
That's true. Yeah, it's hard to tell because just like the hat one where they said they had to make an accessory, but they never aired that, right? So how are we to know, except unless you know from the contestants themselves who were on the show.
Right.
And we're hoping to get maybe a few contestants also to come visit.
Yes.
And later, though, at 1:30, hey, Glenn, how's it going? At 1:30, we've invited our friend, Doc Sampson, the Whatnot, to be on the show, too, to give his critique as well on the puppet show. Yeah, I have, when I go travel, sometimes I'll collect puppets, which I think are fun, especially native to the country with the animals they have.
Cute.
Yeah. But it's been exciting just seeing all the different challenges. I think it's interesting compared to the wind challenge last time, where it was mostly strength that they had to, make sure everything held up. This one was more style and characters and
and panache.
And the Brick Cove also says that she didn't go to the watch party for the first time this week, so I have no insights from the contestants on this one. Oh, okay. That's right, because the Brick Cove lives in Utah. So she goes to the watch parties with the Utah moms too, so that they can talk about the episodes. So yeah. I think this one was probably one of my favorite episodes to watch.
It was a lot of fun. Definitely a good show. Should I go ahead and share this slideshow?
Yeah, please.
And I'm just gonna shut my my door because it's getting a little noisy outside my room.
Okay, no problem. And let me get this banner off here. There we go. Yeah, I think that when it goes back to, it's easy for us to watch as, what do you call them? Quarterbacks, right? Couch quarterbacks. Like, if I had done this, I would have done this. But, when you're under pressure and you've got the cameras all over you and they're watching every step you take. Yeah, I think that's the one thing that would kind of be nerve-wracking, being on a show like that.
Yeah, and I mean, in general, other than maybe like a week-long build challenge, where we at home are not building on a time frame.
Right.
Like, building is one skill, and I think building under pressure and with limited time, it's kind of a separate skill.
Well, we did that with mock improv, where we had the 90 minutes. Right. But it was only 16 by 16. And Mairead says,
judging panel.
Right. This was my first time being up to date in a TV show since I was a teen. I had to get in on the recap shows, though. Nice. Oh, well, welcome. I'm glad you're here because, we're continuing with the recap shows that Llano and Remy were doing. So you should also go to Remy's channel, Brick Literacy, and catch up on all the recaps from there. Yeah. So. Yeah. Pistachio.
Right. Pistachio de la Mock, the Spencer.
I mentioned this to Llano before the stream started, that I was watching with closed captions turned on. And it was so funny because every time they said Pistachio de la Mock, they spelled it M-O-C-K. Because the closed caption people wouldn't know, right? But this is better. Pistachio the Pompous Fencer.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good, and it was kind of the camera's favorite too. I was saying I'm just gathering screenshots, and I felt like it lingered on this one and the details a lot more than any of the other ones. So there's a lot to take in.
I loved this one, and I'm really glad that they were. I guess, do we go ahead with spoilers right away?
Yeah. Warning, there will be spoilers.
There will be spoilers. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, you may want to pause right now because we're going to go through each one of these and give you our feedback. But this one, look at the face there. It's so expressive.
It really is.
And I think too that, the whole idea with incorporating something from, I think it was Wayne's life, because he's big into fencing. So you could see the passion, right, when they're building it, because, this is how a fencer moves. And I really enjoy when they incorporate something from their personal life into their build.
Agreed. And Zach and Wayne are great at that.
Yes, absolutely. With last week with their Oasis one, where they did a tribute to their mom.
Right.
And I was just imagining the mother with Wayne as a kid saying, "Mom, I want to do archery. Can I do archery in the backyard?" And "Mom, I want to be a fencer."
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Definitely my kind of geekery.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And I think too, he also did a little bit of an accent when he was talking about the character.
Yeah. It was kind of like a pseudo French accent. It was maybe not accurate, but it was consistent, which is really hard to do with accents.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it really kind of reminded me of Cyrano de Bergerac. I think he was kind of channeling that.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other thing that really set this one apart, I wish we had like some motion. Here, go back to the eyebrows real quick. The eyebrows moved every time the mouth opened, which no one else did. It was like just on the same mechanism. Which is so smart because it really had this expressive way of talking. Yes,
I love that. And the other thing that happened in the show is that, so we should probably step back, is that the puppets were made by the teams. So this is Zach and Wayne's puppet, but they had to team up with another group. So they teamed up with David and Richard.
Right.
And I think it was interesting how the pairings kind of came about. And in this case, it was kind of like the default pairing. It's like, well, everybody else is paired up, so we're paired together.
Right.
And
So
I mean, talk about powerhouse. So, I mean, to have Zach and Wayne and Dave and Richard as one team, I was like, wow, that was great to see.
Yeah, the characters didn't like make a ton of sense together, but I definitely thought they had chemistry, and they were both just cool characters.
And Mairead asked, didn't the dragon's eyebrows move? Yes, actually, that one also had the eyebrows move.
A separate mechanism. So there was like a moment where the eyebrows moved, and this one was geared with the mouth. So every time the mouth moved, the eyebrows also moved.
Yeah. And I think also on that dragon, the eyebrows were the same color as the face. So if they had made it a contrasting color, it would have been more obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
I loved this cape.
It's such a nice.
This is something I want to copy for something in the future, like a skirt, like you could put on some character. Yeah. I just love the way they did, those plates.
Yeah, you can kind of see there's even a belt buckle here. Like
they
really had a complete character.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And I think there's one more still of the sword.
Right.
Plates, which I was wondering how it was so strong. There's like stacked overlapping plates, which is very smart.
Yeah.
You can zoom in a little bit on that. Because it had great motion. And I think Will Arnett even commented on that. Like, it's great articulation in the wrist.
Right. So Aubrey says, oh, the dragon, I have thoughts. We'll get to the dragon. Don't worry. We will get to the dragon. We're going in the order that the show had displayed them. Yes. And just so you know, we're going to start talking about the puppets first individually and then go into the puppet show, because they kind of did it in reverse on the show.
Right. So they were paired with Dave and Richard's DJ Treats. So cute.
And Mairead says it cleaner than a lift arm as well, as far as the stacked plates.
Right. Yeah, it looked like bricks to me. And I was like, how are those bricks staying together? Because they're stacked plates. So this is the only team that did full body, which was cool to like actually have the legs.
Yes, and that's a lot of work too. I love the sneakers or the tennis shoes on him as well.
Oh yeah, that is cute. I think they're little.
Well, like, I almost wondered if, and I wondered if they were almost trying to do the Adidas shoes.
Oh, maybe. And it's based on Richard is. The teams I always get confused of which name goes with which person. But he is a DJ, and he goes by DJ.
Right. Richard is the DJ, and Dave is the technical guy. And then Guitar Punk, welcome. Guitar Punk 77. Feels like Zach and Wayne are robbed every other week. Yeah, it's interesting because it all depends on what the judges think is more important. But I agree with you. I think Zach and Wayne should have won this one as well.
Yeah, I agree.
And of course, Aubrey says, I love DJ Treats. I did too. And I also like the fact that this was the representative puppet of color too. And look at that cupcake on the front. I love the cupcake. Oh, Zach Martinez is here.
Hi, Zach.
Hello. How are you? Hello, everyone. Thank you, Zach, for being here. Yeah, and I also liked how the dreadlocks moved back and forth when the head tilted. It got really prominent when they're moving around during the show.
Right, and I think that's what set both puppets in this team apart. Is there was just so much life and movement with every.
And they started with this team, which is set the bar really high. And you're right, having a DJ with a swordsman fencer isn't something you would normally think about putting together.
But they did tie it together by saying like, you have a lot of panache too. There you go. That's the through line.
And Zach says that's a great shot of the build. Yes, I agree. Yeah, Llano did all of the screenshots. So I'm just kind of like the secondary commentator here.
This show is beautifully shot, and
It
definitely the
is.
recap show is helping me realize that.
Yes, it's beautiful. And I also just love how the color scheme too, with the green and the yellow, kind of with the nice contrast with the skin tone. Yeah, it's really nice.
Definitely.
And Zach says, I feel like I'm watching a new Fox show.
Perfect. Yeah, with the Fox logo in the corner, especially.
Yeah, that's true. This is a Brickadista Broadcast Network. We're only using the slides as reference materials.
Right. Yeah, falls under fair use of copyright for critical purposes.
Right. We're critiquing the show.
And then we've got Caleb
and Jacob. Now you can tell the difference between these two twins, right?
No,
you can't really.
I mean, I can tell that they look different. I just honestly, I don't know which one. Like any of the teams that are two men, all men look alike to me. I'm not gonna lie. No, I'm just kidding. I never have seen them like this one's Caleb and this one's Jacob. It's just a picture of both of them that says Caleb and Jacob. So I've just never bothered to make the distinction. I can tell they look different, but
they do look different.
I have like a low level facial blindness. I will.
Okay. Well, so going back to this, what was interesting about this pairing is that they were paired with Steven and Mark, the Minnesota guys. And I think that their approach was to say, hey, we're going to go partner with Caleb and Jacob because it's easier to have your rivals closer to you.
Right.
So they were actually worried about them.
Right.
And I thought that was interesting, a strategy for how they paired up with them. And Mairead says, all white guys look alike. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. I was just repeating the comment.
The puppets are all very distinctive. And this is definitely, it's a little rough around the edges, but it's a very distinctive character for sure.
Yeah, and I think they also focused on the eyes more, which was an interesting strategy too.
Right.
And being able to roll the eyes around and give that kind of facial expression, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But they do tend to do square builds. This reminds me very much of the hat that they built. It was very square and blocky. And unlike the windmill last week, which seemed a little more streamlined, and maybe because it was a windmill and it was more of a tower, it seems like when they have to do any kind of spherical shapes that they get into the block, this would be perfect for Minecraft, right?
I do have to admit, I think I had this haircut circa like 2005. That was totally a thing, that like indie kid haircut that's like long in front and like kind of spiky up in the back.
Well, and I think they probably could have done more to accent the tiara too, because with the translucent blue, I think I see where they're going with that, but I think if they used more like that chrome, I would have liked to have seen them use chrome instead.
Yeah, something shinier would be good.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. The eyebrows,
it seems like it gets lost.
The eyebrows are out of control, which is definitely, I mean, it's a choice. It's not, it added to the character.
Right.
But it's a choice. We'll leave it at that.
And the Brick Cove says that she also had that haircut too. Oh, hey, welcome. Was it Antawan Wilson?
Welcome.
Great. I found another stream about LEGOMasters. Hi, people. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we are doing the post LEGOMasters episode recap. So welcome. Yeah, we're just giving our own little critique about these. So welcome to the stream.
Yeah, and please critique away in the comments below.
Yes. And then Mairead's also saying, or bigger. Oops, here we go. Or bigger crowns need to be big and sparkly.
Right,
I agree. Right. And that's a perfect description of the eyebrows, Llano.
I mean, I think big eyebrows are in again, so there is that.
Well, they are. They are definitely in. And is it on fleek? Do you think that these eyebrows were on fleek?
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay. Just imagine Caleb and Jacob saying, we think these eyebrows are on fleek.
Right.
It just
Oh my god.
it'd be like the silliest comment.
So the way
Yeah,
this
so the
show
mouse
was
moved.
shot, there wasn't like a good close up of the whole face. It's either
Mm.
top of the head or bottom of the head.
Oh, interesting.
Mouth is also a choice. I do love how it's like here. I think my cursor will appear if I move it over here. I love how it's curved down on one side and up on the other, so it creates this like wah 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 like puppet shape, which I think is cute.
I'm sassy.
Right, right.
That is funny. And they actually made somewhat of a decent neck too, and neck and shoulders for this.
Yeah. Here, let me go back to the full one. Yeah, like it's an interesting shape, and the angles at the waist, like there is some interesting shaping going on for sure. It's a little
and I think
altogether, but
that's true. And if you look at the arms too, the arms are very similar to what Natalie and Michelle did. It looks like they used mixel joints with the plates and connected them that way.
Right. I also like that there's a necklace that's like on Lego string. I was actually looking around for Lego string to do that before this episode, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah. This one, honestly, this one didn't excite me that much.
Yeah, for sure.
I was just kind of thinking, and it goes back to being the couch quarterback, right? That, yeah, I could say that, but if I had to do it, would I do any better?
Right, for sure, for sure.
And I honestly don't think they were excited about it either, which goes to probably the next one, because this was not their first choice.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that if they had their first choice and they were working as separate independent teams, that it would have been interesting, because we've seen this parallel between Caleb and Jacob and Mark and Steven, right? They tend to do similar builds, which might be why they decided to partner together.
Right. And it was kind of a pushover of like, oh, you can't do a dragon because we're already planning to do a dragon, when neither of them seem to have started building yet. Like they could have done something with 2 dragons or 2 monsters.
Well, and that's the thing. It's kind of like, no, you can't do the dragon because we're doing the dragon. And that's why it makes me wonder if they had been paired with a different group, or if this was an individual challenge, then they would have had 2 dragons, just like they had 2 floating islands, I think, when they were doing the floating challenge. And then Maraid says also that oh, sorry, I got the wrong comment. Hit this one. The mouth is also a choice. Too good. Yeah. So this one, I really, really loved the voice.
Yes.
More so than the build.
I tend to agree. Yeah. It was a very fully realized character for sure.
And Zach Martinez thinks that this has been the toughest challenge this season.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think you may be onto something, because you had to do sculpting. You also had to do some acting in this as well. And you had to work with another team that you have not worked with before. Right.
Very true.
And Bernie, the burnt out dragon, and the dare dragon. Yeah. That could have worked, and that's why it was an interesting dynamic, because it was almost like, well, no, you can't do that because we're doing the dragon. Why couldn't they say, why don't we all do dragons? Because we all love dragons. And I think if they did, Caleb and Jacob probably would have done a better job, because you could tell their heart wasn't in building the princess.
Right. Or what could have been cool is like, oh, what if we make our dragon kind of Godzilla-like, and then you do like a King Kong-like character or something like that.
Yeah. And the other thing was that they didn't talk about proportions, because the princess was huge. Right. And you have this little tiny dragon. Right. And that kind of made me laugh too, because it was almost as if the princess could have sat on the dragon and squashed it. Because of the weight of the bricks.
Totally.
And Zach Martinez also likes the dare dragon. So yeah, the shaping and sculpting on this are so good.
Really unique.
Yeah. And I didn't notice this until you did the close-up, but I didn't realize the tongue had those little red studs on them too.
It's super
That
cute.
little detail, yeah.
What I'm noticing is right here, these are actually dots tiles going into this little curve. And that is a use I don't think I've seen dots done yet. I think there's, if you look close, I think there's a couple places, but like to create a larger rounded shape, to use that is a very cool technique.
And then also Zach Martinez mentions that they did a great job on the articulated eyebrows, and you can see them very closely here.
Right.
It's just the color. It's just the eyebrows were just so green.
Yeah.
That if they just went, even with the lime green, if they just went with a different color green, it would have made them pop a little more.
I agree. Yeah. Absolutely. My wife was watching this with me last night, and she was like, she doesn't watch it with me every time, but she was like really impassioned, like giving commentary. And one of her biggest things was, why would you not do the green face with a different color eyebrows?
Right, exactly. But, but that's okay. I think the other thing about this one was that the wings, that they were having problems with articulating the wings, but they still got them on. And hi, Lena, how are you? Good to have you here.
Hello.
How am I today? We're doing great because we're doing the recap of yesterday's show.
So the mechanism, exactly. They're the only team that did this, where it's just like on a handle with controls,
with that little switch thing.
So smart. So they had a control for the eyebrows and a control for the mouth. And then those rods look sturdier than pretty much any other team's rods too. Yeah.
And I think it's Mark who did the voice, right? He's like, hello, I'm Bernie and I'm burnt out.
Yeah, just a very fully realized character.
Yes, and then Aubrey says, I love this dragon. I'm surprised they got away with the name Bernie the Burnt Out Dragon. Well, I don't know. I mean, it isn't really political, is it?
I mean, I think burnt out can mean different things. He just, he's been working too hard or something.
He's been working too hard, exactly. Yeah, I really love this one. And I think too, so going back to the wings, it would have been nice if they would have given us a closer shot of the wings.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but going back to color choices, that the wings also blended in because they used that blue. If they went with black or something more dramatic, then they would have popped a little bit more. Right.
Give us.
Oh, okay. So Zach Martinez is saying Puff, the name was taken already, so they couldn't go with Puff. Right. Let's go with that.
The jewelry I really love too. It's fun because you think of dragons with treasure, but then you need like the set. So to have the dragon wearing the treasure, I thought was
that was very clever too. And if it's a puppet, it gets my vote. Well, there's 6 puppets, so.
Yeah, it was a really fun episode.
I loved this episode. This episode was just a blast.
All right, so then this crown's a little more pronounced.
Princess Pup Hazel. Very sweet. And Mark and Steven said in another stream that they wanted red wings, but it blended within the background. Oh,
yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. I'm glad you said that because, going back to being, couch quarterbacks, it's like, well, why didn't they do this? Yeah, red wings would have been so much nicer. Or like I said, black. If they just went with black for the wings. Yeah. Interesting.
So this one, I think, like as a sculpture, is one of the cutest ones.
Yes.
But again, my wife was so like, I'm just going to repeat all of her criticism. She was like, why would you make a puppet with its mouth already open? Which was an issue because then you couldn't tell when the mouth was opening because it was actually open the whole time.
Yeah. She's spot on that. And the other thing about this is if you look at it, it looks so similar to the frog they did on that first episode where they were, or not the first, the second episode where they were doing the explosion. I mean, that face, that character with the tongue sticking out is almost a duplicate.
Right.
And really, the only difference really is the ears.
Right.
And you're right. How do you articulate a mouth that's already open?
Although, to be fair, my dog's mouths hang open all the time. Anyway.
So, hey, Debo is here. And did someone say couch quarterback? Yes. Yes, we've been talking about being couch quarterbacks because, we keep saying, well, why didn't they do this? And why didn't they do that? It's like, well, we are not on the show. And then Zach does have a good point. Sculpture-wise, I thought they did a great job. Yeah, I agree. As a static sculpture, it really is a nice job. And in my opinion, better than Natalie and Michelle's. Mm-hmm. But it didn't do the articulation. It had really limited movement.
Right. I love the little lever antenna for the eyelashes. It's such
right.
a touch.
And Taiwan also mentions that it's a great sculpture build, but not a puppet. Yeah, the mouth is the problem. Right. Exactly. And, if they did something with the eyes, too, similar to what the Sassy Princess, Caleb and Jacob, if they had done something with the eyes so that the eyes move around, then that would have added also to this.
Right. Although, to be fair, I have no idea how they did that. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I think they used maybe some lifter arms that were connected to each other so that they would move it the same way. Because I don't think they were independently moving the eyes. I think they moved together.
Right. And
Lena, you're tugging at my heartstrings. A corgi would make more sense, a royal dog, but I'm not backseat building. Right. Backseat building or couch quarterbacks, whatever you want to call it.
This was based on their dog at home.
That's another thing. It was so personal. And I agree with you on Taiwan that I really love this team, Lauren and Brian, and I was really sad to see them go. They're just such a sweet, brother-sister combo.
They really are sweet.
Yeah.
For sure.
And of course, this is a spoiler show, so there you go. Spoiler alert. And then there was Betty Bricks.
And then there was Betty.
The singing grandma diva.
Yeah, there's a lot of great details on this. I mean, as many of them do, it suffers a little bit from being pretty blocky, but a lot of character for sure.
Yeah. And on the previous build, Debo said the ears wiggled lightly, but they kept all its body parts attached.
That is true.
Yeah. Yeah. Very lightly wiggled.
Right.
Oh, and then it looks like Lena says the eyes could move with the Technic gear system.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Like I can understand that is possible, but if I were to sit down, personally, that's not my strong suit. So like any challenge, caters to certain strengths and I'd like to experiment with this, but.
And don't worry on Taiwan. This is a spoiler show, so it's okay if the chat gets involved and talks about it. So don't worry about that. It's allowed. We're not doing the teaser show. Yeah, and this one, like I said, the mouth and the blockiness. This reminded me so much of the Sassy Princess.
Yeah. I think the eyes are really next level here. I think that's some really smart building on the eyes.
Yeah. And Zach Martinez talks about the minute they showed a segment about their backstory, they were going to be on the bottom too.
So true.
Spoiler alert. Here's like the heart-wrenching personal story that we're going to tell you because we're going to send these two home.
Right.
That is so funny. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, and again, the eyeshadow with those eyelashes, I really like the eyes.
Well, especially they went with the thin eyebrows compared to the Sassy Princess, and that is so true for this era of style, right? Like the thin eyebrows were really in back then.
Right. Oh, Debo, googly.
They could have used a googly eye technique,
something.
That would have been nice.
A bunch of those films were in that last episode.
I would have liked to have seen the tongue move because it's a dog, right? And the dog's like always like panting.
Yeah. So I do think these two deserve to be in the bottom two. And actually, my biggest problem with Betty Bricks. And for anyone new to our show, we talked last episode about how, although also a talented builder who deserves to be there, a big reason we think Natalie and Michelle are sticking around is because Natalie and Will Arnett have such entertaining segments that it makes good TV. And,
that's true.
And so this was another one where it's like, are they going to go home, or is that chemistry going to save them?
Yep, that's going to save them. And it did. And they're even doing a preview for next week with that chemistry again.
Right.
And Zach Martinez.
My biggest gripe of the whole show is that each team was tasked with the puppet having a special skill. And everyone else had like a physical action, like the tipping the hat or the wiggling of the eyebrows or the rolling the eyes. This one, her special skill was just Natalie singing.
Yep.
And they made a comment of like, her mouth is open, she's a fully operational puppet or something like that. And I was like, that was the bare minimum of the challenge. Everyone had that.
And it goes back to, this is entertainment television. It isn't necessarily the best builders out there, right?
Yeah.
And Lena also says, I'm Facebook friends with Tim Clark. He worked on the Dark Crystal and Fragile Rock. And he talks about, I guess, the movement of the eyes and take up the right pieces are accessible at the time of the build. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, I think that going back to the chemistry of Natalie and her name, I think, is Natalie Cleveland in real life, and her and Will Arnett. I would not be surprised that when the show is over, that how they would do those little segments, like Boone would say, hey, if you're interested, here's how you connect this. And Amy DD would also do those things. I have no doubt they're going to bring in Natalie to do some of this, and they might bring her with Will to do some of these, banter things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think that frustrates some of the builders who are, really strong builders.
Sure.
That should have been here this long, but didn't make it this far. Absolutely. And that's unfortunate.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, this is the whole first slideshow.
I think we have a pun here. I have insight on the eye mechanism. Right. And we are waiting for our special guest to arrive.
Okay.
Let me see if he is in the studio, because I sent him the link, but we really wanted to have our special guest in.
Well,
let me text him.
Let me fill a little time then.
Yeah, if you would.
Because Brickanista and I both love puppets outside of Lego, and I actually make puppets, which are in performances sometimes that I do. And so this is a pink poodle puppet that I made, whose name is Fancy. And if we have time at the end, I do have some slideshows of the costume that I wore alongside Fancy. But I've also made some wolf puppets. And yeah, again, I grew up at this summer camp where I learned from puppet makers how to make puppets. And it's been a few years since I've made... No, that's not true. I made one last year for Talk Like a Pirate Day, actually. Was the last puppet that I made. So this is a wolf puppet. But the idea of making Lego puppets is insane.
I'm going to send him the link again, because I think what may have happened is I thought I sent him the link through email, because that way you would have it, because it's easier, right? That way. All right. Let me see if we can get this to him. All right. Well, if not, then, maybe he'll show up at the end. Oh, no. Instead, I copied it to the clipboard. Okay, hold on.
So I also was in a whole show that was Dr. Seuss themed. And so I did this whole production of the Sneetches, and I really love how the fur moves on this one. So I made 3 Sneetches puppets, and then I had 2 live actors playing the Sneetches with stars and without. And then we went and handed stars out to the audience. It was a really fun whole show that was Dr. Seuss themed. I was the only one that had puppets, but Yes, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area in the like drag cabaret variety circuit, or was in the before times.
Well, I'm not sure if Doc will be joining us, but I was going to share my puppets too,
Yeah,
I guess.
let's
Yours are much fancier than mine. Well, what I did is when I travel, I tend to grab a hand puppet or two. And so I know we need the doctor. I wanted the doctor here. He was invited. And so I sent him the link again. But here is my koala. Good day. Good day, mate. And of course, I couldn't get by without just one puppet from down under. I have a couple. Joel Marbella, how are you? And so here's one. This is a kiwi.
Awesome.
So this is a kiwi. This one has a rotating head, which I always found was funny. Doc is in his Lego phone booth, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I could have sworn that, like I said, I sent him the links earlier, so I sent it to him again. Hopefully he'll have that. He has had some issues before, as far as where some streams he has missed. So hopefully, maybe he got the week off.
That could be.
Okay, because I sent it. Yeah, I sent it to both of you earlier today. And then I just sent it to him again now. So he did confirm. He did say he was going to be here. It's like, Roger. That's what I got.
Right.
Okay, well, we'll see. We still have time. Anyway, okay, why don't we go ahead and just talk about the puppet show. And we can have our little puppets standing in.
Perfect.
Yeah, actually, I should bring my crane. Let me grab that.
I know. I love that we were talking of like, how many puppets do you have? Oh, yeah, we both have.
We both have puppets.
Puppet collection.
This puppet I actually made myself. So for those of you who are familiar with my company, 1,000 Crane Studios. So I actually handmade this puppet, and this one I got inspiration from the Minions. So I put like these little on top. And so anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and go with the slideshow here.
I love the marquee, like these lights were all flashing, each one was popping up one at a time, and just like the puppet theater in general. I'm obsessed with the set design on this whole show is so good. I
agree. And Joel Marbella is surprised that we own puppets. Why would that surprise you?
Right. Yeah, and all of these puppets that I've shown I made and have performed with.
Wow. And then also Lena says that she has several puppets. Most are rubber with moving eyes. Wow.
Nice.
We should have a puppet show. We should just have guests come on with their puppets. We call it Puppet Talk.
Puppet Talk. I love that.
Yes.
So here's Pinocchio and DJ Treats.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah, I definitely thought Pinocchio and Bernie it was interesting. I think those are my favorite builds and the best characters. Like just really embodied those characters. And that hat felt incredible.
And amazing that I made those. Thank you. I've been on Twitch and I've seen other crafters who do sewing, and I've almost been tempted to do that. But then I said that would just my life would go insane if I did both Lego and sewing. Yeah. However, I may be doing some cosplay for October's BrickCon.
Nice.
And then Lena has a dozen boglins of various sizes. Wow.
Very cool.
Oh, how fun. Yeah.
So here's a little mid dreadlock flip from
yes.
DJ Treats.
Yes, exactly. I have a little bit of hair right here.
And then these characters, you get a sense of their scale together.
Exactly. That was kind of, what I was mentioning earlier about the princess is so huge. And the other thing I thought was interesting about it is her color scheme is very similar to the front row of that puppet theater.
Right.
It's almost as if she looks even bigger because it almost like blends in with the puppet too.
Yeah, that is fair. I do have to say,
we have some sewers in the group too. So we have
cool.
Aubrey also, she has to sew a skirt for Brick Slopes too.
Nice. I think Princess Samantha's eyebrows are like even more wacky in this live show than in the like main.
So I missed a couple of comments here, but and Taiwan wanted to, you wish Richard out more Jamaican in his accent?
Yeah, he wasn't super consistent.
Yeah, that's true. And then put a loaf of bread with green tumors and white teeth. Yeah. I'm not sure what that is for.
That's either a puppet or in with the Boglins collection.
Oh, for the Boglins, yeah. Maybe for the Boglins. Yeah, okay. And I think we're up to date now on the chat. Sewing is fun. I agree.
It's very time consuming for sure.
It is time consuming.
Mostly hot glue. There's some sewing involved.
But I did freeform this. I didn't have a pattern except for the head I adopted from a Winnie the Pooh pattern.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then I had to do the beak on my own and the wings. So yeah. Thank you.
See those wacky eyebrows? Like they're really askew in the performance.
And she looks angry all the time.
She does.
She just looks so angry. Oh my goodness. And then, okay. So Al was talking about a bread monster puppet. Right. Okay. And Debo's down with the Boglins.
Yeah, okay. For sure.
We have a really cool little group here.
We do. And I don't think I talked about the stomach, but I love the like.
Oh, the belly. Yes.
Scales are really nicely done.
Mm-hmm. Are those one by one with the, because they look like the one by one with the rod in the middle, like the baby bottle pieces.
You're talking about the stomach?
Yeah.
To me, it looks like those newer, like 2x2 round tiles with a hole and then a sled stuck into them. It's a weird texture. That's like the only thing I can think that would create that texture.
Wow, that is cool. Yeah, and it goes back to the color of this too, with the green, and like I said, the black wings would have been nice. The blue wings just kind of blend in.
Then we've got this pair.
The curlers really do make that character.
They do.
They really do. That was a really good style choice.
And the shirt pattern is interesting. It's like, it's a little weirdly inconsistent. Like when they started, they just had 2 or 3 flowers, and Brickmaster Amy came and was like, I love that granny print. Like that looks great. And I felt like they could have left it like it was a little applique, because the pattern is very inconsistent. But it's pretty. I love the use of color. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But you could just see her like walking around in her pajamas. And if this was a full-fledged, full body one, like the one that Dave and Richard did, then you would have had slippers on her.
Yeah, totally.
It would have been perfect.
Totally. And if it weren't, national television, maybe a cigarette butt hanging out of her mouth.
Or a shot of whiskey or something in her hand, or a beer. Yeah.
Right. Because her opening line was something like, my name's Betty, but don't quote me on that. I've been wrong before. It's quite a character-driven opening line.
And so you're so spot on, Zach. It was like getting Granny Moo Moo. Right. And then also Debo was also saying that they had a ball joint to hold up an entire arm.
Yeah.
Which, talks about the problem with this one is that when she started singing that the arm fell off.
Right.
So, yeah. And then Lena talks about, I love putting 2 mismatched buttons on socks. and have the socks talk to each other.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, everybody loves the hair rollers as well. And then Debo, from the architecture point of view, these joints have been passed around so much this season. Not gonna say it.
Right. They might be getting a little loose from all the wear.
Oh, this is an interesting point from Antaiwan too, is that, this whole thing about Mama from Mama's Family too, with the curlers and everything. So true. So true.
It's such a smart way to do volume and lightweight hair.
Yeah.
Like that was a very smart choice for sure.
Yes.
And again, I was commenting the eyes, like this is nice where you see them a little further apart. That like, I think it's like one of those inverted, rounded, clear pieces over a green round piece. But then you get that hole in the middle showing the pupil. Like, it's so smart. I really like the eyes.
Definitely. She has that, and the mouth is just so wide, but they put the outline to make it maybe just a little narrower.
Right.
Yeah.
And this poor little puppet.
Oh, I know. It's so adorable.
It really is cute.
So cute.
And then there's the curtain call with everyone together.
Yeah. That puppet looks like a character from a holiday comedy. Oh, that's so true. Totally. And then I think it was a missed opportunity to not have those blue glasses on her versus in her hand. That's true, huh? She should have had them on her face, but maybe it kept falling off.
Right.
And maybe that's why they kept them that way.
Or maybe they planned to put in a line, or it was edited out of like, where are my glasses? Has anyone seen my glasses?
Oh, that would have been great. Or maybe because they fell on the floor, right? And well, there goes Christmas with Randy Quaid.
Totally.
And glasses would have been great on Grandma. Yeah. Or even on top of her head. Maybe not necessarily on her, but maybe on top of her head or on a chain. You know how they have those readers? Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what's going on with Doc Samson. So, yeah.
We're already at curtain call, Doc.
I know. I'm sad to say that, but yeah, I said Wednesday evening. Today is Wednesday evening. I'm looking at my text. So, oh, well. Well, we will just say, if you haven't seen Doc Samson before, he is hilarious and he's a whatnot. But we have our puppets as a stand-in. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, too, is I also have a plush doll that I got as a gift from Matthew Builds Bricks of Pandy Panda. I had Pandy all ready to go to introduce Doc as well. Okay, my friends. Well, this was fun. This was a lot of fun. I'm so sorry that Doc couldn't make it. I'm sure something must have come up. But thank you so much. So just as a recap, the winners of this particular challenge were Stephen and Mark, the Minnesota brothers, with the Bernie the Burnt Out Dragon, which I do think, I personally thought Zach and Wayne's Panaccio was a better build. But I do see the sculpting aspect. I do think that the sculpt, so it was probably neck and neck with them.
I agree.
And I think that since they have the golden brick, they still have the opportunity to use that in the future. That's something we didn't talk about at the beginning, is that they always ask, are you going to use the golden brick? And they chose to hold on to it too.
Right.
So, yeah. Lena's really happy about, and then says Doc is still in the phone booth. Okay. And Panaccio needed more variety in the facial hair. Oh, okay. Instead of the mustache and the goatee, he needed one more thing, like sideburns.
Like some texture in it or something to make it a little more hair-like.
Yeah. And sadly, Lauren and Brian went home, and I think many of us were really sad to see that happen.
It was so cute, though, just like how supportive and proud they are of each other. Like,
yeah, it's just a very sweet group. Here, let me put this like this so we can see our faces a little bit better. But I think, going back to whether it should have been Lauren and Brian or Natalie and Michelle, that it comes back to entertainment, right? So if you're going to be on a future show, you better bring the entertainment on.
Right.
And I think if Joel Marbella is here, he keeps talking about wanting to be the villain.
Right.
And that he wants to partner with Debo, because then Debo technically will help him get through the challenge, and he'll just be the evil person plotting things in the background. Right.
A great strategy. I talked a little bit on my stream with Remy, but I wasn't intending to audition for LEGOMasters. I did audition the first season.
Oh, okay.
But the casting director, I think, reached out to a lot of people, and they did reach out to me. And I had an interview that I thought went really well. Wasn't planning on being part of it at all. And then, got asked to do an interview. I was like, may as well. And then I was like, that went really well. I might be on this show. And to me, it really came down to, I'm a colorful animated person. And she was like, oh my God, she seemed so starved for that after,
we need that.
I'm very quiet and solitary when I'm building.
Yeah.
I'm not a streamer.
Well, it goes back to also, they have so many people applying, and they want somebody who's going to bring the entertainment. And I don't know if you dressed deliberately with the coveralls because of Natalie and Michelle.
It's a little bit of a reference, yeah.
They had pairings of people with similar clothing, right?
Right.
And Joel Marbella says, you knew right away they were going home because there was no movement.
Yeah.
But the Lego community is wholesome. That is true. I'm just catching up on all the chats here. Some unsavory people are showing up in the Bionicle community, but they are being shut out, thankfully. Oh, my goodness. Okay, that's some other drama that's happening. That's other drama. We'll wait on that. But I do want to say that one of the things that I think is good about this show is that it's been encouraging adults to embrace the hobby, because I think there's been this stigma of adults working with Lego and not seeing it as an art form. Right. And every week we're seeing people bringing in structurally sound builds, sculpting, some other, mechanical things that are coming in, with the demolition derby. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate, though, that I think they are keeping some of the weaker builders around just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, too, if Natalie and Michelle went home, then there would only be one woman left on the show.
Right.
So that was the other thing, too, is that they were probably thinking, we got to keep some of the women really towards the end, because you can't have all guys in the finale. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep them all the way to the finale, to the top three.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Just to have the demographics kind of shake out.
Totally.
So we're talking about the Bionicle community, too. More villains in the Bionicle community. And Eightfold is a badge of pride, and very true, Brickanisa. Yeah, I do think the demographics are playing into this, because so many women have gone home already.
Yeah.
And that, if they had sent those two home, then Lauren would have been the only woman left in the series. So I think they're going to stick around for at least a couple more episodes.
I agree, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, and then, so Aubrey found out about the Lego community because of LEGOMasters. Oh, cool.
I didn't know that.
That's right, because many of us follow Tricky Bricks, which is, we're kind of like a spin-off show from Tricky Bricks, right? Oh, we don't want people to show up just to be mean to people. Yeah. So we're going to stick with the positive ones. Yeah. That we found each other through LEGOMasters, and we're happy to say that. And then Zach is saying, season 1, specifically Flynn and Richard, definitely refueled my love of Lego, the hobby. Awesome. Exactly. Awesome. And I think that's kind of where we like doing these recap shows, because it reinforces the fact those of you out there who are wondering, why are adults into Lego? It's first of all, for a lot of us, it's a community where we support each other's artwork. And no matter what that is, if you're into mosaics, or you're into sculpting, or you're into
Bionicle,
PVC or Bionicle. Yeah. Yeah. And then Aubrey says, I was into Lego and built regularly, but I had no idea about this world. Yes. And I think too, conventions, because we've had a whole year where we've not had a chance to go to conventions. Once things open up, I think you're going to see a lot more too of conventions and being able to see everybody's work in person. That'll be really a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And Zach Martinez too. That's right. Zach just went to, I think, Brick Rodeo too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other day I finally finished a set that took 7+ years. I must be a genius because I finished it in a year. Oh, that said 7+ years. Okay. Sorry. I misread that. Oh, and Robin Eklund, you're here. Thank you. I'm glad to see you here. Okay. Well, I think I'm sorry that Doc Sampson didn't make it. Because I was really hoping he was going to be here. And I double checked my text messages. I said Wednesday. It might be because I normally stream at 9 o'clock. And maybe he read 9:30 instead of 9:45. So if it so happens that Doc really wants to be on, maybe we'll do a recap of the recap. Okay. Well, and for those of you, I'm sorry, do you have something else?
Oh, well, yeah, just if people want to stick around for a couple more minutes, I could share some of my performance photos of these puppets on stage.
We might as well. I mean, and maybe this will be time for Doc to join in.
Right, maybe we'll get it.
If he gets a chance to. Yeah, no, please. Here, I'll give you a spotlight.
So I've got a slideshow of just a few images.
Oh, okay.
This is a Halloween number I've been doing for years as a witch. This is at the Stud in San Francisco, which this location is now closed. But I've got this black cat puppet, which I kill on stage because I'm a wicked witch.
Oh.
And it has a tearaway reveal into a ghost cat puppet. So I've got a ghost cat underneath it. And then sometimes I've got backup ghost puppets on stage as well. And then I think this next one is a drag king number that I do where I eat Cocoa Puffs out of a bowl with my wolves. So you're getting
Cocoa Puffs out of a dog bowl. That's great.
You can see my puppeteer here peeking his head over the wolves. And then I think the next one is Fancy, that poodle puppet. I do a glitter beard.
Somebody wants to know if you're also a ventriloquist.
I'm not. These are all lip sync numbers. So there's I choose songs with a lead part that I'm lip syncing and a backup part that the puppet is lip syncing. So this is my accompanying look to Fancy with a purple and pink glitter beard. And some
wow.
And this one, so I love the reason I kind of stopped performing because performance has gone on to Zoom, but I love interacting with the audience.
Yeah.
So this number, Fancy and I sniff each other's butts, which is how a dog greets another dog, and then we go around the audience and sniff the audience's butts, and it's a good time for everyone. This is quintessential San Francisco.
You can't sniff enough butts in an audience, right?
Exactly. You can't sniff a butt over Zoom. Maybe one day.
Now that'll be a quote from the show. You can't sniff enough butts over Zoom, right?
And then this is my Sneeches number. So I've got I've got a couple backup Sneeches. This was at Oakland Pride, and then we did it in San Francisco that same day. And so all the stars are Velcro. And so the story of the Sneeches is the ones without stars are jealous of the ones with stars, and the
Sneeches are awesome.
It's such a good story.
Yeah. I love it.
So yeah, there's a little slice of my world outside of Lego.
Well, you are so talented in so many different things. I mean, it's just really wonderful to see all that. And I'm really grateful to be part of this with you because I learned so much from you. And I'm still planning, by the way, September 14th is the season finale of LEGOMasters Season 2. So everybody here, if you are willing, on the 15th, which will be our recap finale, we're going to do some massive makeup and, celebration attire. We'll figure out what that is. But if you want to be on the show and show us what you got too, it could be like a little fashion show, celebration, what have you. So we do have the ability to do that. I can only do 10 at a time. But if you let me know ahead of time, we can like stage it, okay, your call time is at, 10 after or 20 after.
So fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun because it's been, and if you have puppets, bring your puppets too. Right. I've shown you a few. And then we were even talking about the Duplo bunny. The one I have is it's like a purse. It's got a zipper in the back. So you could put your hand into the back of the Duplo bunny. You can make the Duplo bunny a puppet too. Yeah. And then, so the Brick Cove says that would be so much fun. So plan it, put it on your calendar. September 15th, the recap episode of the season finale. We're going to do some glam work, and I need to get some consultation from Femme from the Block because my makeup skills are lacking. But we're going to do that. And good. Lena says she's got puppets. So yeah, we can have our own little puppet stage show too.
Love it.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to, this says you should be on Drag Race as Antiwan Williams if you wanted to do that. The sky's the limit. Just remember PG. Just make sure it's PG. Okay, everybody. And I know Debo had a comment too. Here we go. This one. I have recapped my recap, and my hat is getting wore out.
Yep.
Well, I've been having so much fun, and I'm so sorry that Doc Sampson couldn't be here. I'm sure I'll find out what happened, that there might have been a conflict that came up. But we still had fun. We still had fun doing this. And thank you so much, Llano. I laugh so much when we're on these shows together. So, and if you're not familiar with the Brickanista Broadcast Network, and if you like this show, please like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Really appreciate it. If you're not familiar with Femme from the Block, here's her contact information here. At Femme from the Block. You can find her on Instagram. And also she has a Patreon account too, patreon.com/Llano. And if you want to send me any kind of snail mail, I have a P.O. Box 31956. I almost said Oakland. Tricky Brick. Seattle, Washington, 98103. Because I'm in Seattle, and of course, Llano is in Oakland along with Tricky Bricks. So it's always great that we can collaborate over Zoom and also over StreamYard and all these other technologies. So really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody here for tuning in. It's really been so much fun. And I know that next week we will have another episode, which is going to be so much fun because this is when they're splitting the teams up. Into two different teams, one doing land and I think one doing sea creatures. Yeah. And they're going to put them together and see how well they pair. And just looking at the various builds, it's been kind of funny because I think there's this huge penguin next to this little tiny, flower, I think, which is kind of like, oops. We probably should have said, okay, if we're going to build this, we're not going to build it too much taller than this.
Right.
So, yeah.
Since Joel and Mairead are still here and saying good night, they are also in the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area. And we should meet up because we've talked about meeting up at Toy Safari, which is a great used toy store in Alameda. Oh, just gonna say that live. I'll mention that to other Tricky Lud people.
Well, I'm hoping to be stopping in California in October. Okay. On my way to visit my parents in Arizona. Oh, cool. So I will make sure to spend at least 1 or 2 days in California. And we definitely should hang out because the other announcement I have is I'm getting vaccinated tomorrow. Woo-hoo! I've been waiting all this time because, I've been waiting for Novavax because I've had family members who have had bad reactions to the mRNA vaccine. So I'm getting the Johnson & Johnson one tomorrow. So one and done. Hopefully everything will be good, but we're still planning to do this next week.
Yes.
So, and it looks like everybody's saying goodbye. Yes. Have a good one, everybody. Toy Safari play date. That sounds like fun. Yeah. We will definitely plan on something like that in the future. And like I said, for me, probably in the October timeframe, maybe late September, I'll be heading over to Arizona to visit family.
Nice.
But anyway, so thank you again, everybody. It's been such a pleasure, Llano, again, working with you. And I hope that we see everybody next week, because we will have another episode talking about land and sea. And who knows, maybe we'll start dressing up every week in preparation for the finale.
One
kind
of
of
us
eats me into it.
One of us could be a land animal, and one of us could be a sea animal next week.
Yeah, we'll see. You'll have to tune in to find out. Maybe that's what we'll do.
And if anyone's wondering about my face, check my Instagram tomorrow. I'm doing a different face print. I don't know if anyone can guess which one this one is. So it's slightly obscure, but a very, very Gem and the Holograms Misfits inspired. So
okay.
Check my Instagram for a picture tomorrow at Femme.
Yeah. And then she's wearing the overalls from as a tribute to Natalie and Michelle. Right. I'm just wearing a Seattle shirt. In fact, let me hide this comment. I'm just wearing a Seattle Kraken shirt, which I'm hoping to get the pirate video. What is it? The stage, the pirate stage, the punk pirate stage. Yeah, just for the Kraken, just so I can have a Kraken minifig. Yeah, I've seen your post. So check out once again, Llano. If you haven't had a chance to check Llano out, Femme from the Block, patreon.com, Llano. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week, everybody. Take care, and may the clutch be with you. Bye. Take care.